What happens when one of Hollywood's most respected actors sits down for what should be a simple interview, only to face a host who seems determined to destroy his reputation on live television? In just 32 seconds, a single comment would turn a promotional appearance into an absolute disaster that nobody saw coming. Denzel Washington walked onto the set of the Tamron Hall show that Tuesday morning, expecting the usual routine. He had a new film to promote, some light questions about his career, maybe a story about his family. What he got instead was something completely different, something that would shock everyone watching. The cameras rolled as Tamron Hall sat across from one of the most beloved actors in America. Her smile looked friendly enough, but there was something behind her eyes that felt cold, calculating, like she had been waiting for this moment for a very long time. "So Denzel," Tamron began, leaning forward in her chair with that practiced television smile, "I have to ask you about something that's been on everyone's mind lately." Denzel shifted slightly, his eyebrows raising just a bit. He had been doing interviews for decades. He knew when something felt off. "Sure, what's that?" "Well, there have been some rumors floating around about your behavior on set. Some people are saying you can be quite difficult to work with, that you think you're better than everyone else." The studio went quiet. The crew members behind the cameras exchanged glances. This was not what anyone expected. Denzel's jaw tightened, but he kept his composure. He had dealt with difficult questions before. "I'm not sure where you're getting that information from," Denzel replied calmly. "I've been in this business for over 40 years. I think my track record speaks for itself. I work hard, I show up prepared, and I treat everyone with respect." But Tamron wasn't done. She shuffled through some papers on her desk, making a show of looking through notes. "Actually, I have some specific examples here. A source on your last film set told us that you refused to speak to several crew members, that you demanded your own private bathroom and wouldn't use the same one as everyone else." "That's completely untrue," Denzel said, his voice getting a little sharper. "I don't know who your source is, but they're lying. I've never made those kinds of demands. Ever." The audience was starting to murmur. They could feel the tension building. This wasn't going the way anyone thought it would. Tamron Hall was supposed to be the friendly host, the one who made her guests feel comfortable. But right now, she looked like a prosecutor in a courtroom. "Come on, Denzel," Tamron continued, her voice taking on a mocking tone. "You don't have to pretend with us. We all know how Hollywood works. The big stars think they can do whatever they want. They think the rules don't apply to them." "I'm not pretending anything," Denzel replied firmly. "And I resent the implication that I think I'm above anyone. I started from nothing. I worked my way up through hard work and dedication. I've never forgotten where I came from." Tamron laughed, but it wasn't a friendly laugh. It was cold and dismissive. "Oh, please. You've been living in your mansion in Beverly Hills for so long, you probably don't even remember what regular people look like." The camera captured the moment perfectly. Denzel's face changed. The polite smile disappeared. His eyes narrowed. He sat up straighter in his chair. "Excuse me?" "You heard me," Tamron said, leaning back with a smug expression. "When's the last time you actually talked to a normal person? Someone who wasn't paid to kiss up to you? Someone who wasn't hoping to get something from the great Denzel Washington?" The crew was getting uncomfortable. They had worked on hundreds of interviews, but they had never seen anything like this. The producer in the control room was frantically trying to figure out what to do. This was live television. There was no taking it back. "I talk to normal people every day," Denzel said, his voice getting louder. "My neighbors, people at the grocery store, fans who approach me on the street. I don't live in some bubble like you're suggesting." "Right," Tamron said sarcastically. "I'm sure you do your own grocery shopping. I'm sure you pump your own gas and wait in line at the bank like everyone else." "As a matter of fact, I do," Denzel shot back. "I don't know what kind of person you think I am, but you're way off base here." Tamron rolled her eyes dramatically. "Come on, Denzel. Stop trying to be the everyman. We all know you have people for everything. You probably haven't touched a dollar bill in 20 years. That was it. That was the moment everything changed. Denzel stood up from his chair slowly, his hands clenched into fists at his sides. The microphone clipped to his jacket, picked up every word as he spoke in a voice that was calm but filled with controlled anger. "You know what?" he said, looking directly into Tamron's eyes. "I came here to talk about my work, to talk about a film that I'm proud of. But instead, you want to attack my character based on lies and assumptions." Tamron seemed surprised by his reaction, but she doubled down. "I'm just asking the questions that people want to know the answers to." "No," Denzel said firmly. "You're not asking questions. You're making accusations. and their false accusations. I don't know what your problem is with me, but I'm not going to sit here and let you disrespect me on national television. The audience was completely silent now. They could sense that something big was about to happen. The camera operators didn't know where to point their cameras. Should they focus on Denzel? On Tamron? On the shocked faces of the audience? Tamron realized she had pushed too far, but her ego wouldn't let her back down. "Oh, so now you're the victim?" she said with a nasty smile. "The poor, misunderstood movie star who just wants to be treated fairly?" Denzel took a deep breath, trying to maintain his composure, but his patience was running out fast. "You know what your problem is?" Denzel said, his voice cutting through the silence like a knife. "You think because you have a television show, you can say whatever you want about people. You think you can destroy someone's reputation just to get ratings." Tamron's face flushed red. She wasn't used to being challenged like this. Most guests just sat there and took whatever she dished out, but Denzel wasn't most guests. "I think you need to sit back down and finish this interview like a professional," she snapped. "Professional?" Denzel laughed, but there was no humor in it. "You want to talk about being professional? A professional host does their homework. A professional host asks real questions about their guests' work. A professional host doesn't ambush people with made-up stories." The producer in the control room was having a panic attack. This was supposed to be a simple promotional interview. Now it looked like World War III was about to break out on live television. The ratings were probably through the roof, but this was a disaster. "Those stories aren't made up," Tamron insisted, her voice getting shrill. "I have sources. I have people who worked with you who told me exactly what you're like behind the scenes." "Name them," Denzel demanded, stepping closer to her desk. "Go ahead. Name one person who said these things about me. Just one." Tamron hesitated. She shuffled her papers again, buying time. "You know I can't reveal my sources. That's journalism 101. "Journalism?" Denzel's voice was incredulous. "This isn't journalism. This is a hit job. You decided you were going to take me down today, and you don't care if you have to lie to do it." The audience was completely captivated. Some of them were pulling out their phones to record what was happening. They had never seen anything like this on daytime television. This was better than any reality show. "I don't have to lie," Tamron shot back. "The truth about you is bad enough. You think you can just coast on your reputation forever? You think people don't see through your act?" "What act?" Denzel demanded. "What are you even talking about? I've spent my entire career trying to make good movies, trying to tell important stories. I've never claimed to be perfect, but I've always tried to do the right thing." Tamron stood up now, matching his energy. "Oh please, you've been playing the same character for 30 years. The noble, dignified black man who never does anything wrong. It's all fake, and everybody knows it." The words hung in the air like a bomb that had just exploded. The crew members behind the cameras looked at each other in shock. She had just crossed a line that nobody expected her to cross. This wasn't just about being difficult on set anymore. This was something much worse. Denzel's face went completely still. When he spoke, his voice was quiet, but everyone in the studio could hear every word. "What did you just say to me?" Tamron realized she had gone too far, but she was in too deep to back down now. "You heard what I said. You've been playing a character your whole career. The perfect role model, the guy who never makes mistakes. But we all know that's not real." "You think my dignity is an act?" Denzel asked, his voice getting louder with each word. "You think my integrity is fake? You think everything I've worked for, everything I've achieved, is just some kind of performance?" The silence in the studio was deafening. Even the camera operators had stopped moving. Everyone was frozen, waiting to see what would happen next. "I think you're an actor who's very good at playing a part," Tamron said, trying to sound confident, but her voice was shaking slightly. "And I think people deserve to know the real you." "The real me?" Denzel's voice was rising now. "You want to know the real me? The real me grew up poor. The real me worked 3 jobs to pay for acting school. The real me has been married to the same woman for 40 years. The real me raised 4 kids who I'm proud of. The real me has tried every single day to be worthy of the opportunities I've been given." Tamron tried to interrupt, but Denzel wasn't finished. "The real me volunteers at youth centers in my free time. The real me built a boys and girls club in my hometown. The real me has quietly donated millions of dollars to scholarship programs. But you don't want to talk about any of that, do you? That doesn't fit your narrative. Anyone can write a check," Tamron said dismissively. "That doesn't make you a good person." The audience gasped. Several people in the crowd started booing. They couldn't believe what they were hearing. Tamron Hall was attacking one of the most beloved actors in America. and she wasn't backing down. "You're right," Denzel said, his voice deadly calm now. "Writing a check doesn't make you a good person, but spending time with those kids does. Mentoring young actors does. Showing up when nobody's watching does. And I've been doing all of that for decades while you've been sitting behind this desk tearing people down." Tamron's producer was frantically trying to get her attention from the control room, but she ignored him. She was committed to this path now, no matter how ugly it got. "So you're saying you're perfect? You're saying you've never made a mistake?" "I'm saying I'm human," Denzel replied. "I've made plenty of mistakes, but I learn from them. I try to do better. I don't pretend to be perfect, but I do try to be decent. And right now, you're making that very difficult." "Maybe that's because decent people don't usually have to work so hard to convince everyone how decent they are," Tamron said with a smirk. That was the final straw. Denzel reached up and unclipped the microphone from his jacket. He set it down on her desk very carefully, very deliberately. The sound it made when it hit the wood echoed through the studio like a gunshot. "I'm done," he said simply. The microphone sat on the desk between them like a gauntlet that had been thrown down. Tamron stared at it for a moment, then looked back up at Denzel with defiance still burning in her eyes. "You can't just walk away from this," she said, her voice getting desperate now. "We're live on television. You have a contract. You have obligations." Denzel turned back to face her, and when he spoke, his voice was like steel. "My obligation was to come here and talk about my work in a respectful environment. You violated that the moment you decided to attack my character with lies." The studio audience was completely on his side now. People were standing up, applauding, showing their support. They had watched this woman tear down a man they respected, and they were done with it. But Tamron wasn't finished. She was spiraling now, desperate to regain control of a situation that had completely escaped her. "You know what I think? I think you can't handle being questioned. I think you're so used to everyone kissing up to you that you don't know how to deal with real journalism." "Real journalism?" Denzel's voice cracked like thunder. "Is that what you call this? Making up stories about how I treat people? Attacking my character? Questioning my integrity? That's not journalism. That's a witch hunt. I'm asking the tough questions that other people are too scared to ask." Tamron shot back, but her voice was getting higher and more frantic. "Someone needs to hold you accountable." "Accountable for what?" Denzel demanded. "For working hard? For being successful? For trying to set a good example? What exactly do you think I need to be held accountable for?" Tamron was grasping for anything now. "For thinking you're better than everyone else. For being fake. For pretending to be something you're not." The audience was getting louder now. People were shouting at Tamron, telling her to stop, telling her she was wrong. The energy in the room was electric, but not in a good way. This felt dangerous. "You want to know what's fake?" Denzel said, his voice cutting through the noise. "What's fake is sitting behind that desk and pretending to care about the truth while you spread lies about people. What's fake is calling yourself a journalist while you practice character assassination." "I am a journalist," Tamron insisted, but her voice was weak now. "I've been doing this for years." "Then act like one," Denzel fired back. "Ask me about my new movie. Ask me about the message we're trying to send. Ask me about the work I put into the character. Ask me something that matters instead of trying to destroy me for your own entertainment." Tamron looked around the studio wildly. Her crew was staring at her with disappointment. The audience was hostile. Her guest was humiliating her on her own show. This was supposed to be her moment of triumph, but it was turning into her worst nightmare. "Fine," she said, trying to regain some composure. "Let's talk about your movie. But don't pretend like you're some kind of victim here. You came on my show. You agreed to this interview." "I agreed to an interview," Denzel said firmly. "Not an ambush. There's a difference, and you know it." The producer was making frantic hand gestures from the control room, trying to get Tamron to wrap this up, but she couldn't let it go. Her ego wouldn't allow it. "You know what your problem is, Denzel? You can't handle the fact that not everyone thinks you're as great as you think you are." "I never said I was great," Denzel replied calmly. "I said I try to be decent. I said I work hard. I said I treat people with respect. Those are basic human qualities, not claims of greatness." "But you do think you're better than me, don't you?" Tamron pressed. "You think you're above having to answer difficult questions." Denzel looked at her for a long moment, and when he spoke, his voice was sad more than angry. "I don't think I'm better than you, but I do think you're better than this. Or at least, I thought you were." Those words hit harder than any insult could have. Tamron's face crumpled slightly. For just a moment, she looked like she realized what she had done. But then the anger flared up again. "Don't you dare try to psychoanalyze me," she snapped. "You don't know anything about me." "You're right," Denzel said quietly. "I don't know you, but I know what I've seen here today. And what I've seen is someone who's more interested in tearing people down than building them up. Someone who's more interested in creating drama than seeking truth." He turned toward the audience, speaking directly to them now. "You all came here expecting to hear about movies and storytelling and the craft of acting. Instead, you got to watch someone try to destroy a man's reputation based on nothing but rumors and spite." The audience erupted in applause. They were completely with him now. Tamron looked around desperately, trying to find support somewhere, but there was none to be found. "This interview is over," Denzel announced, his voice carrying to every corner of the studio. "I came here in good faith, and I was met with bad intentions. I won't be a part of this anymore." He started walking toward the exit, his head held high, his dignity intact despite everything that had happened. But Tamron couldn't let him have the last word. "Go ahead and run," she called after him, her voice cracking with desperation. "That's what people like you do when things get tough. You run back to your mansion and your yes men who tell you how wonderful you are." Denzel stopped walking. He turned around slowly, and the look in his eyes made everyone in the studio hold their breath. When he spoke, his voice was quiet, but it carried the weight of absolute authority. "The only person running from the truth here is you," he said. "You ran from honest journalism. You ran from basic decency. You ran from treating another human being with respect. And now you're running from the consequences of your own actions." With that, he walked off the set, leaving Tamron Hall sitting alone at her desk, facing a studio full of people who had just watched her destroy her own credibility in real time. The cameras kept rolling, capturing every second of her humiliation, as the audience continued to applaud for the man who had just shown them what real dignity looked like under fire.